Disaster and widespread trauma is something that I think is so central, and I could think of no, I mean, this certainly is one of the most incredible places to have such a meeting, and I'm glad that this all came together and we've been able to do it. We really thought, and also with John Lawless, his program chair, who's done an incredible job, I think, to really second conference that he's chaired. That's almost unheard of, to do that. And actually, the first time, he said in the middle, I'm having a really good time doing this. This was mid-year, the first year he was doing it. And I said, what did you say, John? And he said, this is really fun. I said, John, if you say it one more time, you get it again. I said it a third time. So it's been fabulous to work with him. But one of the things that we really wanted to bring together was the research, the clinical practice, but also the larger systems, this whole social justice issues that are embedded in what's happened here, but also what's happened here has happened in many other places in the world. And so that's been very, very central. And one of the things two things we did, I think, this year that are really innovative, we wanted to do them simultaneously. One was to bring the clinical research conference, which has always been sort of at a separate time and place during the year, to bring it much more into juxtaposition in the meeting. And if today was any example, I just thought it was a fabulous day. Guillermo Bernal, who I think we should give a hand, just did an incredible. And the other aspect, besides bringing the research more directly into juxtaposition of the meeting, we're trying this year, was to also really do something more directly with the community. And Friday, the Community Day, I think will be really fabulous. There's a number of people coming in from the community who are going to speak and partner with AFTA members in presentations. So I'm really looking forward to that. I look forward to speaking to as many of you as I can, and I just want you to all to have a great time. Thanks a lot. And I'm going to turn it over to George. He's going to welcome us
to It is my honor to welcome you to our city. I quote, "Dear America, I suppose we should introduce ourselves. We're South Louisiana. We arrived on your doorstep in short notice, and we might be staying around for a while. We've been evacuated to your towns, enrolled in your schools, and looking for jobs. We know you didn't ask for this, and we didn't either, so we're just going to have to make the best of it. We thank you for your money, your water, your food, your prayers, your boats and buses, and the men and women of your National Guard, fire departments, hospitals, and anyone else who has come to our city. We're fiercely proud, independent people, and we don't cotton much to outside interference, but we're not ashamed to accept it. And we're not ashamed to accept help when we need it. And right now, we need it. You already know we talk funny and listen to strange music and eat things you'd hire an exterminator to get out of your yard. You heard many of us stay behind. As bad as it is, many of us cannot fathom life outside of our border, out in a place called elsewhere. We are what made this place a national treasure. We're good people. And don't be afraid to ask us how to pronounce our names. It happens all the time. When you move back, and we move back, we will repay your hospitality and generosity of spirit that you offer us in this season of prosperity. That is your promise. That is our hope. These thoughts come from a book called One Dead and Attic, written by Chris Rose, who chronicled the experience of Katrina in his column in our local paper, the Times-Picayune, and then wrote a fascinating, sad, hopeful, explanatory book about the experience. There are many wonderful books written about the effects of Katrina, and the only reason why there isn't one for every citizen of this city is that there just isn't time to read them, or write them, or understand the various things that happened to us. Each of us here in this room has been affected differently. You've heard and seen the most devastating aspects. Places like the Lower Link and Gentilly and Lakeview, the highway overpass, the Superdome. But what you don't see is the inside of us. Multicultural, multiracial, who suffered. And who didn't suffer material damage, or at least those who did not suffer much material damage, but also had lives turned around and blown apart, and the fabric of their relationships turned asunder. People lost jobs, and you know about that. You saw the underbelly of human poverty exposed in the city, and by extension, in many cities of the country. People lost houses, and you know about that. People died, you know about that. Some of you know about the deaths of people who couldn't stand to be forcibly separated from their loved ones and children. The ones who couldn't stand the 15-hour road trips to get 90 miles to Baton Rouge. The ones who had to remain to care for others. Those who had no means of transportation in the city. And those who had businesses destroyed and left employees without jobs. And physicians and other healthcare providers, suddenly with no agencies or practices. Because hospitals and offices were gone. Not just water. Not just water in a building. But the structure gone. Social workers and others just left in their offices for a year because they had no homes any longer. Everything was going down except in a war zone. Human services, electricity, plumbing, water, natural gas, limited judicial systems including police, virtually all educational systems collapsing or on the verge of sinking. And where did the children go? And where did the people go? Who would care for them? Who would care for us? The treating professionals in the middle of the exploding world. We too needed assistance to be able to offer assistance. Dead bodies and ruined healthcare systems. Healthcare workers looking for missing relatives. We were the people to help. Where were the people to help us find the solid ground? We were dispersed. We were evacuated. We all wanted to come home, and come home we have. Not all of us are back, but some of us still exist in the diaspora, waiting to come home, waiting to rebuild. Others have been forced into exile. Thank goodness, many of you came to help. College kids who could have been thinking about Florida came to New Orleans to help. High school groups came, religious missions came here to gut our houses and to rebuild. National organizations reached deep into their pockets to help meet the basic needs. The government wasn't here as it should have been, but you decided to come here to this city, some early as first responders, some later when ongoing response was needed. You showed interest, understanding, and desire. We are here now at this AFTA conference to study and to learn and to discuss the ramifications of this catastrophic event, where we will be dealing with a systemic response and recovery from disaster and widespread trauma. We have a day devoted to community interaction and discussion. We need you here. We want you here as we learn from each other and as we apply our old and new understandings to a human mission to repair the world. Not just here, but everywhere, with here being the metaphor. As Aidan Gill, a local merchant, said in an interview with Chris Rose, a time will come when someone asks you, what were you doing about it? You can't tell them, I was just watching. I was just an innocent bystander. Let me tell you something. There are no innocent bystanders. We have been here individually, but not collectively. Now we are here as a result of nature run amok and the levees, failures. AFTA is here to move clinical research from recovery to action. AFTA is here now. Learn now. Listen now. Don't let one dead in the attic be the last word.